Hello everyone, Liane here. I hope you're doing well. A few weeks ago, I received this notebook from Atoms to Astronauts. It is a UK-based science notebook company. So what I'm going to do is do a brief overview of what I know about this notebook. I have a few inks that I'm going to swatch in the pages, and these particular inks I picked out. Not only do they complement the cover of this book, but also they each have different ink properties. Sailor Shikiori Tokiwamatsu is a beautiful sheening ink. Yoseka's Tangmisa Blue is a really nice shading ink. And then for my shimmer ink, I selected Dominant Industries Autumn Forest. And this is one of my favorite shimmer inks at the moment. So I'm gonna do some ink swatches on here as well, and then give you, my first impressions, my thoughts on this notebook, and if I recommend it. This is an A5 notebook. I have my A5 Hobonichi ink swatch book, just for size comparison. They're very similarly sized. As you can see, the pages are like an off-white, like a cream color. I chose the 5mm dot grid, and I know that they have like 8mm lined spaces or lined notebooks. They also have a blank and a grid notebook as well. This is the botany cover that I selected. I believe they have about 13 cover designs in total. One for all of the major sciences, this is botany to microbiology, chemistry, physics, anatomy and physiology, paleontology, to name a few. But the reason why I picked the botany journal is because I wanted to be able to create a gardening plant care journal. I'm hoping to be able to write down a log of plants that I acquire throughout the year, and then also care instructions and kind of a journal as to when and how to care for all the different types of plants that I have. A5, 100 GSM. For reference, the Hobonichi Tomoe River paper is 52 GSM, so it's a very thin page. It's a very thin paper compared to this, which is 100 GSM. As you can tell, it is off-white cream, whereas with Hobonichi, it's going to be kind of a clear white color. The Hobonichi is it 5 mil? No, it's not 5. I think it's 3.7mm grid. This is 5mm dot grid. As you can see, it lays fully flat. Some pages more easily than others, but I think it can be easily. Yeah, you can just press down the spine and it'll definitely lay completely flat. I see that they have a ribbon bookmark, which is nice. I personally don't really use ribbon bookmarks. I actually end up just cutting them off, but it is a nice sturdy ribbon. Okay, it's 180 pages, so I believe that's about 90 sheets. These pages are not numbered at the bottom. So for some of you bullet journalers, that may be something that you may not like, the fact that they are not numbered. But for me, I think that's fine. Okay, so why don't we get started with ink swatching? I'm really excited to see if this is really going to be a fountain pen friendly notebook. Okay, so my ink swatching supplies, I have this fountain pen vial and pen holder that I got from Fountain Pendulum. This is a J. Herbin glass tip pen. I have my handy dandy stainless steel cup. Oh, this is really fun. I have to show this really quick. So as you can tell, this is a plastic cup that I have in this sink caddy. So I found this over in the Magnolia section at Target. I've basically destroyed about 3 or 4 glass dip pens because I nicked it accidentally on the edge of a glass cup. And so now I'm like, I can't use glass jars anymore. So I thought this ink caddy would be perfect to put my large cup of water so that it doesn't turn over or that it doesn't fall over. And also, it just looks beautiful. And I know assuredly that this is not going to tip over. It's very sturdy. Why don't we do Autumn Forest? Let's start with the shimmer ink. Okay, this is Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. Beautiful. So far, so good. Okay. Immediately, I see that there's no feathering. I also like the contact between the pen and the paper. I like the sound. The feedback is really nice. And my first impressions right now is that it is a really nice writing experience. And so far, it really is showcasing the shading properties of this ink. Gorgeous. There we go. I think it looks really nice. Just looking on the other side really quick. There's no bleed through. Oh, beautiful. And you know what? Just for comparison, I'm going to do an ink swatch here as well. One thing about Tomoe River paper is that it doesn't absorb the ink right away. I can tell that it stays on the surface of the paper a little bit longer, whereas with the Atoms to Astronauts paper, it seemed to kind of go, it seemed to get absorbed into the paper quite quickly. That's not a good or a bad thing, it's just something that I'm observing. I do have to say that I like the way that Autumn Forest looks on this off-white cream paper. Let's see, now let's do our sheening ink, Sailor Shikiori Tokiwamatsu. Gorgeous. There you go. Do you see how much more warm the color looks on the Atoms to Astronauts notebook? It's much cooler in on the Tomoe River paper. It definitely looks more golden here. Tokiwamatsu is really pretty in that it has like a warm copper brown sheen. So it's going to be really pretty when it dries. I hope that the camera can capture this, but it looks a lot more golden. The ink swatch here on the right. This is the Adams to Astronaut's Notebook. The Tomoe River paper definitely looks more forest green, a deeper green. And now for our shading ink, this is Yoseka's Tang Misa Blue. Okay. Okay, we are going to give it a few minutes for the ink samples, the ink writing samples to dry. Okay, we've given it some time. Now the inks have completely dried. So as you can tell, the cream color of the page really gives off a nice, like it really accentuates the golden tones of the inks. And so the ink swatches on the right on the Adams to Notebooks page is definitely more yellow, more golden than the swatches on the left. And as you can tell, the swatches have dried beautifully. There's no ghosting, or not ghosting, but there's no bleed through on the other side. Maybe a little bit on Tang Misa Blue here, a little bit here, but it's nothing unlike, oh, well, here, comparing it to the Tomoe River paper, there is absolute bleed through. Whereas here, there's just like a mild suggestion that there was ink, that there is ink on the other side. It really accentuates the shimmer. It highlights the shimmer in Autumn Forest. You can really see the sheening in Tokyo Amatsu. In the Tomoe River paper, it really like brings the sheening properties to the forefront. But when I look here, it's a little bit more subdued, but that's not a bad thing. It still showcases the sheening. But I think because this paper is a little bit more absorbent than the Tomoe River paper, the sheening seems to be more integrated in the paper. Whereas with the Tomoe River paper, the sheening, and even you can still see a little bit of the residue here. It's a little wet still, but the ink on Tomoe River paper tends to sit on top of the page a little bit more. But if you look at the Adams to Astronaut's Notebook paper, the inks seem to have gotten absorbed into the paper and looks really nicely integrated. So do I recommend this notebook for fountain pens? Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to using this notebook. I thought I would use this initially for my garden journal, but I actually might use this as a regular journal, just because I do like the feeling of the paper. It reminds me more of Midori MD paper versus kind of the smoothness of the Tomoe River paper. This paper seems to have a little bit more tooth to it. The weight is definitely more like the Midori MD paper, which I think is 80 GSM. This is 100 GSM. The Tomoe River paper is 52. And I really like the weight. And this is really gorgeous. So Damien, thank you so much. I do have a discount code. If you use if you use the code Liane10, you'll get 10% off of your order. Also, I have a link down below as well. But thank you so much. I hope that this review and my testing on this paper was really helpful. I'll see you again in my next video. Take care. Bye.